WESS, East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Ladies and gentlemen of the WESS radio listening audience, we have been with WESS for 2.5 years, and now comes the time we must retire. And so, I must disappoint you all and announce that this is my last radio broadcast at WESS. You won't have John Hendricks to kick around anymore. Let's hear it, gang. All right. Thank you very much and welcome. This is the final John Hendricks program here at WESS. The You Won't Have John Hendricks to Kick Around Anymore special, and we're going to be here till sometime around midnight. It's 3 minutes after 9. We've got a long way to go. I'd like to introduce now some people we have in our studio, and anybody who wants to stop down and has been listening to the Flea Market, you're invited to stop down to our studios, and I'd like the people who are in our studio right now to step forward to the microphone. Now, would you start, sir? You can use the microphone over there. We have 2 microphones tonight. This is really a classy show tonight.
Is it on?
Yes, it is on.
You're on the air?
We're on the air, so keep it clean. Now, what's your name, sir?
I don't remember. No, I'm John Baxter.
That's John Baxter, who many of you know as the fill-in voice on the program. Once in a while, when we get bogged down, you'll hear his familiar voice. Try your old lady voice. That's one that gets everybody. That's the one, yes. So John Baxter's here. Who else do we have? Let's get this guy up to the microphone now. If you remember way back to a few years ago, it was last year, Sunday nights there was a program on this station called Creation. And if there's anyone who remembers the Creation program, we have the host of that program here now. And what is your name, sir?
My name's Laurie Steinmetz.
All right, let's hear it for Laurie Steinmetz. Well, we tried. Okay, we'll get back to him a little bit later. By the way, I forgot to point out that John Baxter was also the host of the program called Montage about 2 years ago. And if anybody remembers that, you go way back to the station history. Would you like to come up to the microphone, sir? All right, we'll get him up to the microphone a little bit later. We have a distinguished member of the faculty here who will not admit to being here at the moment, but we'll invite him up later, sir. All right, here's a virtual unknown as far as the world of radio. What's your name, sir?
Mike D'Angelo. I did the graphics for this program.
Oh, okay. So we'll get back to all these exciting people a little bit later. We got something here that I thought we should do. And this is to explain to a lot of the people just what's been going on down here for the last, how many weeks have we on? About 18 weeks? No, it's not that long. It's about 12 weeks. All right, somebody look at the calendar. We'll check. But we've been on here a while. with the flea market, and there's a lot of people who just don't know why the program's on. They couldn't figure it out, and their big concern was that, well, some of the voices sounded alike and little things like that. So we're going to try to explain the purpose of this program tonight. So let's see. I've got this written down so I don't forget what I was going to say. That proves it. Before we get into the meat of the show tonight, I'd like to explain exactly what the purpose of the John Hendricks Radio Flea Market of the Air was, now that it's over. I've heard people who didn't like the show because some of the material didn't appeal to them, or they just don't like shows where you don't play the top 5 songs over and over and give the time and temperature checks every 3 minutes. The purpose of the flea market was not to be the best satirical or humorous show in radio history. The idea behind the show was, well, when I came to the station, many people on the staff were doing programs which fit the formats of their favorite top 40 or rock stations. While I figured that with our low power and no commercials, I wanted to experiment with a program which would bring radio to the perspective of one ESSC student, which could provide satire and features relevant to ESSC and Pocono residents. The one obstacle which people forgot in analyzing the program was that the flea market was written, directed, produced, and almost all characters acted out by yours truly, John Hendricks, with the aid of one engineer, John Baxter. One must also keep in mind I am a full-time student and not paid for any of this work, so it was all volunteer. Other such programs in radio history had staff writers, producers, many more voices, and put their full time into writing the shows and got paid for it on top of all that. The purpose of this program was imagination and variety for a local level, and I think that was accomplished. Another comment made about the show was they could tell that I did all the voices. Well, that was part of the concept of the program. If I had wanted all the voices to sound uniquely different, I could have recruited a bunch of people to read the lines. But it was more in the spirit of the program to realize it was the work of one person. It didn't matter that all the voices had sounded somewhat similar. It fit the blend of our show. We could ask our characters how they feel about that. Well, John, I don't understand what they're talking about. I've never even heard their voices. That's right. Why, I'm insulted to think that they even think I sound like you. Gee, I think my voice is just fine, honey. The problem with the whole show is when I forget which is my real voice. Anyway, in a moment we're going to speculate on what might happen to radio station WESS after we leave. Just what will happen to the station? We'll find out in just a couple minutes, so stand by.
About 3 months ago, I was in Rome, Italy, not New York. I don't know what I was doing there. I was just there. I got this sandwich one day, and they gave me a newspaper where it was the only newspaper they had there that was in English. And they had all the news from all around the world crammed in the 4 pages. Didn't even have any funnies in there, you know. Every time you turn a page, something just jumped right out at you, you know. So I found an old friend in there, and I wrote her a song for Dear Abby. Dear Abby, my feet are too long, my hair falling out, my rights are all wrong. My friends, they all tell me there's no friends at all. Won't you write me a letter? Won't you give me a call? I'm bewildered. Bewildered. You have no complaint. You are what you are, and you ain't what you ain't. So listen up, Buster, and listen up good. Stop wishing for bad luck and knocking on wood. Dear Abby, my fountain pen leaks. My wife hollers at me and my kids are all free. Every side I get up on is the wrong side of bed. If it weren't so expensive, I wish I were dead. And unhappy. Unhappy, you have no complaint. You are what you are, and you ain't what you ain't. So listen up, Buster, and listen up good. Stop wishing for bad luck and knocking on wood. Dear Abby, dear Abby, dear Abby. Dear Abby, you won't believe this, but my stomach makes noises whenever I kiss. My girlfriend tells me it's all in my head, but my stomach tells me to write you instead. Noisemaker. Noisemaker, you have no complaint. You are what you are, and you ain't what you ain't. So listen up, Buster, and listen up good. Stop wishing for bad luck and knock on wood. Dear Abby, well, I never thought that me and my girlfriend would ever get caught. We were sitting in the backseat just shooting the breeze, with her hair up in curlers and her pants to her knees. And just married. You have no complaint. You are what you are, and you ain't what you ain't. So listen up, Buster, and listen up good. Stop wishing for bad luck and knock on wood. And dear Abby.
All right, that was John Prine from the Flea Market Collector's File, and it's called Dear Abby. That sound like top 40, but that was Dear Abby from John Prine. Look at Rick does a show like that. Rick Golden is here, and that's just the way he does his show. If you've ever listened, you'll hear him. The record will end, and you hear this voice. You hear him get up and look at the record to see what it was. Efficiency in radio, and they make him program coordinator. You know, he's in the newsroom, or I wouldn't be saying it. We have a few extra people here we want to introduce at this time. Would you like to state your name here, sir?
My name's Jeff.
All right, this is Jeff, and if you have listened to our station on Friday evenings, you remember this man's voice. He's trying out the kazoo. And we can see he needs a few lessons, but we'll get to that a little later in the show. And anyway, this is the man who was responsible for helping bring the War of the Worlds to the radio on Friday evening at midnight, and we'll have the follow-up, the attack of Quad God, coming up a little bit later. I hear a voice, yeah?
John,
yeah.
I'd like to say something.
All right, go ahead.
Every time I listen to your show, I just want to go.
Really? Where's your partner tonight?
He's studying for
Oh,
the
I see. Okay. Those guys work in twos, yeah. Anyway, okay, we're going to get to some features here. Since we will no longer be on the air here at WESS, I'm wondering what will happen to the local creativity level here at the station. I figure if we expect to survive, that someday somebody will get the idea to try to either go into a direct competition with our neighbor station in Stroudsburg or adopt the formats of some big city stations. So tonight we are going to speculate on both of those possible occurrences. For instance, since VPO has the Radio 1 ads, we might have to resort to the Radio Unwanted ads, and our apologies to Lorraine Farris right now. And now, WESS Radio presents the Radio Unwanted ads. Your chance to buy, sell, trade, rip off, chip, barter, or blackmail. For sale, boat, seashore. sale, 8-track tapes. Contact ESSC Track Coach for details. Attention, an unmarried bachelor farmer in Marshall's Creek is looking for a young, attractive girl with a tractor for marriage purposes. Please send a picture of the tractor. For sale, old touring cars once used by the Cuban political leader during parades. Call FC549 and ask for Castro's convertibles. Wanted, a local advertising agency is looking for a man to plug the Delaware water gap. Applicants, please inquire within. There's a big sale on now at Roy Rogers Bridal Salon. Stop in at our main store in Bangor or the branch office in Willow Grove. And for sale, 3 rabbits. Call Mr. John Smith at 421... What? Oh, now it's 5 rabbits. No, 7, 8, 9. All right, that's it. All right. This is the last show, and we deserve this kind of thing going on here. It's 9:15. 0 hours approaching for the Attack of the Quad God. That'll be coming along a little bit later. And we have a lot more guests that we want to get on the air who are hiding in various parts of the studio right now and pretending they're not here. And we'll get to a few of them and some more in just a moment.
Daylight come and we won't go home.
Wow, man. I'll have to ask you not to shout like that.
Well,
It's like right in my ear, man.
well, it goes with the song.
Yeah, but don't holler in my ear,
Well,
man.
it's authentic calypso.
Yeah, but like
Shout.
don't stand next to me, man.
Well, the shout go with the bongo drum.
Well, not my bongo drums, man. I mean, move away.
Well, I don't see why.
No.
Well,
Stand over next to the guitar, man.
he sent me over here.
Yeah. Well, then sing soft, man. You know what I mean? Like, wow.
Okay.
It's too loud, man.
He's a day, 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 oh. Daylight come and we want go home. Work all night on the brink of rum. Daylight come and we want go home. Stop banana till the morning come. Daylight come and we want go home. Lift 6 foot, 7 foot, 8
Hold it,
foot,
man. Too loud, man. Too loud.
6 foot, 7
Hold it,
foot,
man.
8
Hold it,
foot,
man. My ears, like my ears. No, hold it, man. It's too shrill, man. It's too piercing.
Well, I don't see why.
No, it's too piercing, man. It's too piercing.
Well, I got a little shout.
No, man, it's too piercing. Like I don't dig loud noises.
Well, you ruined the whole
Piercing.
record is what you do.
Yeah, well, tough. I'll take my bongos and go, man, because the whole thing is like bugging me anyhow.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. I won't
No, I'm
shout.
cutting, man. Like I didn't want to make this gig in the first place.
No, wait a minute. I'll be soft.
Yeah. Well, then back off of me, man. It's too piercing.
Okay? How's this?
Too loud, man. Too loud, man. I can still hear you. Would you mind leaving the room? Great.
Daylight come and we want go home. Daylight come and we want go home. A beautiful bunch of bright banana. Daylight come and we want go home. Hide the deadly black tarantula.
Oh, man, don't sing about spiders. I mean, ooh,
Well-
like I don't dig spiders.
Well, that's how the song goes. He goes, hide the deadly black tarantula. Daylight come and they won't go.
Is that it? Can I leave now?
Well, not yet. We got a big finish.
Yeah, man.
I locked myself out.
Crazy. come through the window. Daylight come and we all go home.
All right, what we're going to try to do now is picture WESS as an all-news station, especially with the quality and in-depth reporting we have right now. We could easily beat VPO's 4-star news if we turned our whole staff to the all-news format, which has swept the big cities. All you have to remember to do is sound as bored and apathetic to the news as possible and string the news out between a flood of mottos. WESS news time is now 9:20. This is WESS East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. All news all the time. Stay on the go and in the know with All News Radio 24 hours a day on your news center, WESS. WESS news time is now 9:21. Coming up, a special report on the availability of Teflon frying pans in Peru, and a report from WESS correspondent Don Schnutz in Manhattan, Kansas, on local reactions to the energy crisis. Right after WESS sports, after WESS weather, after this. Before you hit the road, hit the dirt. Push the button on your car radio closest to the steering wheel, and you'll be ready in case anyone tries to invade the USS. You'll hear about it first. WESS news time is now 9:22.
And that was PDQ Bach's Schlepptet in E-flat major, performed quite enthusiastically, I think, by students at SNDU at H. And it's time to play What's My Melodic Line, the game where you try to stump I virtuosi di Hupel by sending in the score to any instrumental piece written between 1600 and 1750. Our musicians here, who are probably more familiar with the corpus of the Baroque repertoire than perhaps anyone else in the world would want to be, they are given nothing but the title. And if they are unable within 1 minute to begin playing the opening section of the work, the listener who sent the piece in receives a beautiful painted plaster bust of Giuseppe Torelli and becomes eligible for the grand prize presented at our annual Baroque bingo banquet of the complete works of Vivaldi recorded on convenient 45 RPM records, which will be sent out one a week with the compliments of WOOF over a period of 35 years. Now today we have a very interesting coincidence. 3 listeners have sent in works by the same composer. That composer is Arcangelo Spumoni. Now he is one of the most prolific and least known of the many prolific and unknown Baroque composers, so I think our boys here may be in for a little bit of trouble. Well, I'm looking at them now through the big plate glass window that separates the announcer studio from the music studio, and they have their instruments ready, so let's get started. Our first piece was sent in by Thorne Thornson from over there in Beulah, and he wants to see if you fellows can play Spumoni's Concerto Grosso in F major, Opus 2, number 537. Well, they're conferring now among themselves. Arcangelo Spumoni was born in 1605 and flourished around 1700. He was a pupil of Vivaldi and distantly related to Casanova's mother, Bossano. And this concerto is subtitled La Primavera. Until recently, it was referred to, when referred to at all, as the Spring Concerto. However, a recent paper by Professor Paul Bearer, published in the current issue of the Musical Hind Quarterly, reveals that Spumoni was married twice during his life, both times to women named Vera, making it clear that the subtitle is in fact a dedication to his first wife. Well, I've gotten the signal from the virtuosi now, so let's see what they come up with. absolutely correct, gentlemen. That is how Spumoni's Opus 2, number 537, begins. All right, now next we have a piece sent in by Miss Sarah Saracen, who lives in Plum Coulee up in Manitoba. And the piece she's hoping will trip you up is the Trio Sonata in E major by Spumoni, Opus 1, number 1. Okay, the boys are already ready, so let's hear it. You did it again, boys. Now we have a very tricky one for our harpsichord player. It was sent in by Sonny Sonson from Zap, and he wonders if you can remember the first of Spumoni's three-part inventions, Opus 6, number 4 to the power 9. Be careful now, Gerald. Do you think you know how it goes? Oh, no. No, you fell into the trap, Gerald. Gerald, you fell into the trap. That's the first of the two-part inventions, which are written at about the same time, but show him the three-part invention. See? That's right. That's number 1 of the three-part invention. Well, Mr. Sunson, you really stumped him. And you'll be receiving your plaster bust of Corelli, and your name will be put in the hat for that grand prize next December. Sorry about that, Mr. Thornton and Miss Saracen. You failed the Stumpy Virtuosi, but we'll be sending you our consolation prize, the Toscanini recordings of the 9 Beethoven symphonies. I hope you try again, and better luck next time. It's all part of the fun on What's My Melodic Line?
9:25. You're listening to the final John Hendricks program here on WESS till around midnight tonight. And right now we're going to turn over to our illustrious staff who will present the WESS version of the Farm Report. So take it away.
Well, howdy. This is your old pal, Tex. Steers are weak, and heifers are steady to choice. Steers, choice including prime, choice and prime, choice. Heifers at Omaha are high. Demand on slaughtered cows continued at Omaha City. Feeder steers are steady and small. Few choice cattle slaughtered week ago, a year ago. And now we'll turn it over to Pete. Hey, Pete?
Number 1, yellow soybeans, 542. Number 2, yellow corn, 264 and a half. Number 2, heavy white oats, 148 and a half. Number 2, extra heavy white oats, 149 and a half. And now we'll turn it over to Suzanne.
Where's Suzanne?
Oh, Suzanne.
Cows are fairly active. Utility in some commercial, higher dressing on all meeting Holstein. At auction, feeder cattle ready and strong. That's about it, I guess. Oh, the spring lamb for sale. Take it up the line.
That's the whole farm report there from our staff. And let's hear it for our staff. Give yourselves a hand, kids. Yeah, okay. All right, we're going to get to a few more of our big features. You can leave that on, it doesn't matter. We'll turn down the sheep, and we'll get back in just a few moments with some more heavy features. Heavy features. Heavy features.